Welcome to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. Now, I hope every week as you tune in that you really get or help, or hopefully my guests and I help you change your perspective on whatever change is going on in your life. Right? Notice I use that word change a lot. Change seems to be happening to us every day, and the better we can navigate and shift and adjust our sails, I think the better and easier life becomes. So I hope my guests and I are providing just some tools and navigational kind of GPSs for you to tap into. If you're loving the show, I truly would love for you to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with your peeps so that we can grow our heart-centered community and really enjoy the journey together. So today my motivational quote is actually a quote to get us in the zone, and it's by my guest, who is Sophie Rouméas. I think I said that right, Rouméas. And Sophie says, "The family tree. Our family story has an impact on us on a personal and professional level. By being aware of it, we can activate its positive legacy to best shape our destiny." So have you ever had this experience where something comes out of your mouth and you freeze and you stop and you think, "Ugh, that was my mom or dad talking," right? You know what I'm talking about. Yikes when it happens. Well, when this happens, maybe it happens more than we would like it to happen. I think sometimes we feel like we have this internal programming and we're not sure where it came from, and maybe we're not even sure that we've chosen it. And you know, in life, through teachers and through our parents and grandparents, we have all of this internal workings that might not be serving us. So today I really want you to think about your programming and I want you to examine it if it's preventing you from living the life of your dreams. And guys, I know this is pretty heavy stuff, but today my guest, Sophie Roumeas, Sophie is a therapist, coach in mindfulness, author, and is a facilitator for change. She specializes in personal development, resilience, and activation of psychic abilities, and she works with people who desire to align with their higher potential, transition between the old and the new, which often requires guidance and compassion. Now, Sophie is a native from the French Alps, and she created Alps Meditation to share a ritual of meditation for conscious living. Sophie tailors a unique formula that she uses with her clients to access their inner gifts and manifest their happiness, intuition, and innovation. And she does this through coaching processes that are mixed with hypnosis, systemic and family constellation, past life regression, aura readings, and more. And her motto is, "Let's voice your soul." Sophie has contributed to 2 #1 international best-selling anthology, and she is convinced that the future of our blue-green planet resides in the balance between our individual and collective consciousness, and I can't agree with that more. So please help me welcome my lovely and beautiful guest, Sophie, to the show. So Sophie, thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie. It's an honor and a pleasure to be there with you and your community. Thanks,
yes,
Connie.
So happy. Yeah. And we met through networking, right, Sophie?
Yeah, and yes. We had the chance to be in one of the 2 anthologies together.
Yes.
Which is Bright Spot. I have
yes.
right there with me. So this is our connecting point. Yes.
That's right. And it's really cool when you're part of something, right? It becomes an international bestseller and you get to do it with other just inspiring and wonderful other humans. So Sophie and I connected after the book was published, and I'm like, okay, you got to be on the show because you have so much wonderful insight about that family tree and how we can leverage it, right, Sophie, to help us instead of just saying, it's the way I was raised, right? We can have a little bit more control over how we respond to things. So my first question for you, Sophie, is how is it that our family story really does impact us on that personal as well as professional level?
Yeah, so thank you. And the first thing, yes, I'm glad that we met through the book with other like-minded people, co-authors. And I like very much your chapter. And inside you have many insights that you share with us. And specifically, you also talk about the way that you navigated your own change. So this is something we do have in common, is about change.
Yes.
How can we accept change? We know that the human mind doesn't like so much change. I mean, the default program is more keeping things safe, right? We want to keep things safe.
That's right.
And so it is also in the family story. We want to keep it safe. And sometimes the safe is not the most safe for us, but as we know it, so we don't want to change our inner story, our inner dialogue. So we keep arranging ourselves with what has been given to us. And this is what I call the silent education, right? We all received a silent education, which is not the, you need to stay straight, or keep your mouth empty when you speak with people, don't eat in the same time. This is not the silent education, this is the spoken education. The silent one is also received via the invisible. For example, we know that in the talking we do have together, actually, there are 20% of talking, and the 80% is non-verbal communication.
That's right.
And so this is the same in our family. We may have 20% of being aware of what is ruling our inner program, and the 80 other percent are the invisible invisible presence of our previous past memories. So I may give an example. I had a few weeks ago someone who came to me and she said, well, I'd like to change my work. I really don't feel comfortable. I have enough of it. I'm almost burning out. I don't know what to do. And so, she gave me her story. And then so we realized, with certain tools helping people to dive into their family story, that she was responding to an injection, injonction we say in French, so to a kind of message. The message did not come from her mom or from her dad. It was an unspoken message that came from ancestors, so from a generation to another generation to another generation. And her grandma, she used to be in the middle of World War, famous World Wars, right? So many people don't realize that there is a lot of impact coming from the wars. And during that time, our ancestors, they had to keep safe, right? So for the grandma, her husband was fighting, in the army, and she was alone with her children, and she had to keep safe. So it was not safe to change her work. When you had something that was able to feed the children, the family, you would just keep with it and you would change anything because it was not safe. It was perhaps even dangerous. So this family lineage brought the message from ancestors to new generations. When you have a job, don't change. It's dangerous to change your job. It was the silent education that came through the generations. And my client, she even not had any child at that time. So no child and no war, but the invisible message was don't change your work. So we had to work through that she feels she can still honor the destiny of her grandma, but then she asked her grandma at the, let's say, energetic level, oh, please have a good eye on my own destiny. Then she can free herself, not saying, no, it's bad. No, she accepted that it was the family history. But then from that, she was able to move forward because she had the knowledge that it was safe at that time, but it was no longer the same situation.
Yeah, and this is important stuff, Sophie, because we have so much of this internal programming from these past generations of people we've never met but are part of our lineage, part of our DNA in essence, right?
Indeed,
That
DNA.
it's in the DNA. So these messages are transmitted to us without even knowing it. And you know, and I know you know this because of what you do for a living, us, you know, humans, right, that living now, most of our core beliefs, if you will, come from the age of 0 to 5, from when we're literally in the womb to the age of 5, whatever those experiences are. And the irony of that is the way a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old sees a situation and then makes it part of their belief system, because there's not logic, it's more of an emotional response, versus us as an adult. So I'll give you an example. Let's say as a child, you were walking down the street with your mom or dad, and, you know, across the street, you saw a man hitting a woman, okay? And, you know, then you saw the police come, and it becomes this big event. So now you look at that and feel helpless that you couldn't help that woman, right? That was getting hit by the man or whatever, because you're 4 or 5 years old. So now you take on that helplessness or that victim kind of feeling, and it carries subconsciously through your life. Even though now as an adult, you would look and say, well, wait a minute, you know, we called 911, the police came, everything was handled. As a child, it's just a different reaction. So now layer that with stuff from our ancestors that's transmitted through this DNA that we didn't even hear or see or personally experience. It's like mind blower. Wow, we've got a lot of layers as humans of stuff that's going on beneath the surface, right? It's not even from our own memories. So this is crazy when you start to think about the scope of this conversation. But then again, I love having people like you, Sophie, because it's like, okay, it is what it is. Now, hey, don't say, oh, well, it's just the way I am. No, you're here to help people say, well, okay, wow, that makes so much sense. How can I change that programming to serve me better in this lifetime? It doesn't matter what my great grandmother went through. I mean, it does matter from a historic and an emotional connection perspective. But if it's not serving me to be my best self, I've got to learn how to let that go. So people like you out there, to me, are magnificent, because you have the skills, but you have the gifts to be able to help the rest of us who maybe haven't tapped into those, natural gifts, and be able to guide us to come out of that change. So I want to just ask one question with that, client that you were working with the World War, the grandmother's response to the World War of safety. When she understood where it came from, was it almost like a weight was lifted from her?
Exactly, because she understood, she realized that her behavior did not came from her, did not belong to her.
Right.
So she could acknowledge, and give respect, let's say, to say, okay, I understand.
Sure.
And then so for her, it was an aha moment to realize. And then, of course, I can well imagine after the session that she probably went through, other behaviors, feeling, who is choosing in me? This is often a question I ask to the people as a kind of introduction. Do you know who does really choose in you when you choose something? Which part of you is choosing? For example, when we choose from fear, behind an emotion, there's always an event. An event is what? Event is made by people, is made by connections, is made by... So there is always a way to fix it. This is the beauty of these tools that we learn. We are more and more people are involved into the tools of change, because we realize we can fix things up. We don't need to screw up our whole life to feel we do sabotage ourselves. So we can fix things. And when we speak about emotions, we always speak about people behind it. So a fear has roots. And so we need to go to the roots of the emotion. Sometimes they come from us, sometimes they don't. So, and this is where we can use, there is the power of learning more about the family tree.
Yeah.
And then we can dive deeper into what we're going on and what are we passing from generation to generation. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny because there's so many beautiful things that we learned from our great grandparents, right? That they taught their kids and now us, right? Our parents teaching us. And again, through that DNA. So there is some amazing things that we have learned, some values, right? That we have learned. So I love that you approach it. It's not like deny all of it. It's not about denying anything. It's about understanding where things came from. And I think the cool thing, Sophie, is when we understand something, then you can look at it with clarity and say, I like that value. I choose to keep it. Or, that's really not serving me in this lifetime. Let me choose an alternative way to approach these various situations that pop up in our life, because what we're talking about is eliminating that self-sabotage.
Exactly. And I like, this is rightly said, what you said, so about the fact that we also want to honor the positive sides, the positive values that have been given through our family tree. So for example, this grandma, she had to keep her family safe.
Of course.
So she probably developed beautiful skills, resilience, and she had to think. She had to also develop her instinct or her intuition, or probably many different things. So every event, even the most traumatic one, helped us to develop skills or qualities of being, of acting.
Sure.
So when we watch to our family tree, even a traumatic event, we can gain something positive. And I like what you said, so that it's also a matter to bring comprehension. It was not, comprehension, understanding. You use the name understanding. I read a quote this morning that I like very much, which said, compassion creates understanding. And so that's why the best thing we can do when we look at ourselves, our behaviors, our blockages, everything that created us, having a look of love, because the compassion helps to create understanding. And so from understanding, then we are open to change, right?
Agree. And it's so funny because I think that most of us lack that element of self-love. You hear this all the time. I'm my own worst enemy. We're our own worst enemy. We critique and criticize ourselves much more aggressively than anything, the world is seeing or thinking of us. So we have this ability to beat ourselves up instead of coming from this place of love and compassion. And here's the thing, Sophie. I mean, I do it too. I'm really good at beating myself up, right? It's part of how I think we're taught. When I was a child, my generation anyway, we were told children are to be seen and not heard. What a horrible, horrible thing to say to a child. But that's what my parents were taught, right? You're a child, you know your place, you sit respectively, you eat everything on your plate. Like all of these things that have now become part of me and probably aren't serving me. So again, I think that understanding and that self-love helps us get there faster, but this is hard stuff. And guys, Sophie and I understand this is hard stuff. It's not like you're going to listen to this 30-minute conversation and have all the answers. That's just not how life works, because we humans, I think there's such beautiful depth to us, right? All of our flaws and everything make us so unique, but within that there's flaws and depth of issues, healing that needs to take place. It is what it is, because we really are human after all. How do we know, Sophie, how do we know that, how do you decipher that we're trapped into those family patterns? Like, are there certain things that you see over and over again that it's clear that we're trapped in those kind of family patterns?
Yeah. So thanks. It's a good question. So first, we mentioned earlier self-sabotage. Clearly, self-sabotage most of the time can have root into hidden, what we call in our field, a hidden loyalty to something, to someone. So self-sabotage is to stay loyal to something, let's say to someone, somehow. For example, perhaps in the family, we are supposed to be in the field of medicine. Why not? This is a big thing sometimes. My son or my daughter, you will become a doctor, for example.
Sure.
So in that case, so the person has not so much freedom. So, okay, there are two ways. Perhaps he or she will take, the class to become a doctor, and so somehow we'll make everything possible to screw up it. So it's a way to stay loyal, the hidden loyalty to him or herself. For example, on the other side, someone else, so we'll make everything possible to please the parent, on that side, meaning he or she does not take care, he or himself or herself, as his or her dreams into account.
Yes.
And somehow the sabotage will be perhaps, perhaps in a love story with someone, because we have, given to the parent the success he or she wanted to be. And so we'll have sabotage somewhere, a way to say, I wanted to say a bad word, but let's say F you, So the person can find a way to sabotage because a part wants to say, no, I didn't want to do so.
Sure.
For example, so a sabotage is often, we are very attentive to a sabotage because it can mean the person is not on his or her own tracks of life.
Sure.
For example. Also someone who would, I don't know why. I know I should not be or do that way, but I don't know I'm acting or being that way. In that sense, we feel, okay, there may be somewhere, somehow, a hidden loyalty. So most of the time we are tracking hidden loyalties. To who? To who the person is loyal. So it can be loyal to a value, but is its value, does it belong to the person or does it belong to an event, to someone behind? I don't know if it does answer the question, or is it?
Yeah, no, it does. And again, it goes back to Sophie that this is complicated stuff. And that and I know you teach this, which is such an important skill for everybody. I don't care, whether you're a CEO of an organization or, a mom or dad, with a newborn at home. It doesn't matter what you do, where you live. This is for humans overall. It's not male or female generated. We all have this internal wiring, and when we start to see things with clarity, that's when I believe change can happen exponentially. I'm not saying it's an easy process. It's the opposite. But here's the thing, Sophie. I believe that it is our responsibility. Maybe that's a good word. I think it's our responsibility to show up bigger and better, right? More authentically. And I know that word is overused. For me, authentically means just being honest, being real. Like, this is who I am. This is what I'm working on. And hey, I've come a long way, but man, I still have a long way to go. But I do think it's our responsibility because I feel like, what are we leaving our kids? And I don't have grandchildren yet, but my grandkids and great grandkids. And I love in your quote that I started with, this blue and green place we live, right, called Earth. We're not taking care of it. We're not taking care of ourselves. We're pushing forward for innovation and technology, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but are we losing ourselves because of what was, and are responding to things today based on things that maybe really don't matter anymore, right? You know what I'm saying? This is complicated.
Yeah, I love what you say. So first, you're talking about these new generations of children, and so a few weeks ago, I planned an event named "Healing the Family Tree," and I had the great chance to have on board a neuroscientist named Jeffrey Fannin. So it was great to have him because he was able to create a bridge between neurosciences and these new alternative therapies.
Yeah.
But I'm using part of them for helping people to heal their family tree, to heal their family story, and to take the best out of it. And so we were talking about this new generation of children, generations of children, right? They are wide more open than us because we had to keep quiet, we have to shut down, we had to obey the rules and so on. The new generations, more naturally, they tend to blossom faster than us. They have so many tools to blossom.
It's true.
And the technology. So the good things we can do also to accompany them is to work on our roots. And in our roots, there's also nature, right? So nature, just taking a walk into nature, into a forest, into a field. So it helps also to stay grounded. So, and for these kids to feel their parents grounded is a good thing. And also our roots. I like to give this quote, which is from Francesco Di Castri. He said, "You cannot have wings before you do have roots." So another thing to do is to talk with our children about their family story and to talk in a positive way. Not everything is positive, but then the more we know about our family story, the more we can share with them, and the more they can feel they have people behind them, right? They have mom and dad, and then mother and father from mom, and mother and father from dad. Probably they don't know all the grandparents or grandparents and so on, but we can speak about them. And so this is also a good way to accompany them to feel grounded and to find a balance between this technology and AI and so on, and the authenticity that you are claiming. And I like the way you use it, authenticity, to feel genuine and to be recognized as being genuine. And I feel this is a good point. There is also another thing, because you mentioned earlier, about the inner dialogue, that sometimes we are raw with us. Do we say raw? So, or rough or tough with ourselves.
Absolutely.
And a good thing we can use is to reframe, this specific reframing. When we say, why did you say that? Or, I don't know how I could again be that way. So a good thing would be, what do I need? What do I need to make better, to feel better, or to act better? Instead of blaming, is this famous question, what do I need? So then, instead of being low, so it's a way of, okay, I can find solution. So it's actively taking part in the change. So reframing our inner dialogue, and the same for the people. In France, we have this very specific way of saying, I will take a little break, or let's have a little coffee, or it's take just a little time. It's always a matter of little. No, why not having a nice break instead of a little break? Maybe it's a little one, but it's a nice one. Or no, it's not a little coffee, it's a good coffee. Reframing our vocabulary is very powerful, and it's very simple, right? It's not complicated to do so. So pay attention to our vocabulary.
I'm loving this. So my son, I have two boys. One is 21. He'll be graduating college in May of this year. And my big guy, he's 24. And he's home. He's living home. And so he's graduated college. So the other day we were talking, and it's not, well, with COVID, we're not all running in different directions, right? I'm not going to speaking events because COVID. So anyway, we were talking at dinner, and he listened to a podcast, and I really don't remember the gentleman's name, but he's about mindset, right? How do we change our mindset? So and a couple of things I want to comment on with this generation, these 20s, the kids in their late teens and 20s. So he said to me, Ma, you know what he said? And it makes so much sense. We all say, oh, I'm so tired at the end of the day. He said, just stop saying that one thing and see how it reframes your brain. It kind of pivots your brain, because when we say, oh, I'm so tired, you go, oh, I am tired. And I think I'm going to go to bed early tonight. And you spiral down because you said you're so tired. So we have been working on this for the past 2 weeks. We're not allowed to say, we call it the T word. So last night I had just a very, very long day, and then I'm taking a class on Monday nights from 8:30 to 10 p.m. my time because the person's on the West Coast. Yeah. So I put in like a 9-hour day, went upstairs to eat, and then I had to come back down for this class. So I was a little tough, and I did a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a program from 12 to 9 p.m. my time. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it was a long 4 days. So we sat down and he said to me, "Hey mom, you okay?" And we were eating and I said, yeah. And I looked at him and I smiled and I said, "I just feel a little worn today, but I'm okay. I'll be ready for my class later." And he just had this big grin. He goes, "Very good, mom," because I didn't say I'm tired. I was pooped, let me tell you, but I didn't use the T word. And here's the cute thing with it. We laughed. And as soon as you laugh, what happens to your energy, right? You get that second. So these are the kinds of things that Sophie is recommending, that to reframe how we think of things. And the other thing I wanted to comment on with these younger, the 19s, the teenagers, late teens, and the 20s, kids in their 20s, because of technology, and maybe because of people like you, and I hope people like me, we're teaching them to research and think about the law of attraction, right? About the universal laws, about nature. And it's a privilege to live in this earth, right? And we have to take care of it. And meditation and all these things. I never even knew what these words meant, Sophie, when I was growing up. My parents had no clue about spirituality or the universe or, walking in nature is going to ground you. I mean, all of these things that are so commonplace now. And I think that is one of innovation, but it's one of the blessings of innovation because our kids, I think, have access to tap into that younger so they can make a difference in their life faster. And I think they have less layers of their own crap to deal with. So I think that's also kind of a blessing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does completely, indeed. So this is also the positive side of technology, is that now we can also communicate, we can exchange good practices. Today, I don't know, what time is it on your side?
It's 11:41 a.m. my time.
It's 11:40, so in France this is 4:40 p.m. And so we are from a different country. We met through technology. We never met in person.
Nope.
But here we are talking together on your beautiful show, and we are exchanging hopefully positive and insightful things together.
Yes.
And this is the beauty of technology, and this is what our kids have today.
Yes.
And so this is where they can take the best of the two worlds. Technology, and then we can help them to stay grounded with nature, to take care of nature, and they may be much faster than us also to dive into the best of the two worlds, hopefully. And and again, also we can give to them the story of our family, because then they can also perhaps ask questions with us. I wanted to give, if you want, a little something to your audience, that a little exercise they can do for themselves.
I would love that.
Okay. So, there is something very simple. I used to work with what we call systemic constellation or family constellation. This is something we can use also for professional way, because in our businesses, we tend to redo, to replay the program we used to be at home with our parents sometimes, or with our partners. So this is something we can do for a personal purpose or for a professional purpose. Let's say we may have a blockage, or we don't know exactly. There is something behind between us and success, for example. So let's take success. Why not? So what you can do is, in a little space, you can stay grounded, and you can take a piece of paper, and on this piece of paper you can write down success. So, okay, people can do this little experience, success, and then you can put success in front of you on the ground, and then you stand on your feet and you watch at success. And then you can, let things come in. What may stand between me and success? And then so you just let come up there may be an emotion, there may be something in the body you feel. Let it come up, take the time to connect with it. And so for a moment, stand with it. At one point, what you can do is you can sit for a moment, you can close your eyes, and then at that moment, you may perhaps see eyes in front of you in your inner vision. You don't know. Don't be surprised. You may not know these eyes. You may know them. You may even recognize the eyes in front of you. So don't be surprised. It may be someone. You don't know who. It may be someone you know, maybe someone you don't know. But most of the time, this is someone who may belong to your family system. Mm-hmm. Someone who needs to be felt, seen, heard. And so in that time, just take the time to connect with his eyes. Then, if you want, you can ask yourself, so all these eyes, energy, saying, okay, who are you? Do you have a message for me? And then you may receive something. So just take the time to connect with it. And so maybe you want to speak with someone about what have been your experience, or maybe you will be happy to connect more with a meditation. Why not? I don't know. This little experience. So, which is using the vibration of what we call the field. Yes, come up. You want to say something?
No. Keep going. So the vibrations of the field. We're almost out of time, but okay. Go ahead. So we want to put. I want to make sure I'm understanding. So we put a note, the word success, money, love, whatever it is for you. Put it ahead of you on the floor, and then kind of quiet the mind so that you can allow for a message to come in. Or I love how you said maybe you'll see eyes. So are we recommending that they close their eyes, with the paper on the floor in front of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed. They can even sit, on a sofa or on the ground, I don't know, for a moment. But then the good thing is to take a moment to feel in the body, to feel perhaps there will be an emotion or there'll be something in the body, feeling that you are connecting with success or love or health. Why not? And then so between you and this representation of what is important for you as a topic, so there may be something. Otherwise, you would not reflect about that, right? So everything is going on very smoothly and rightly. So if not everything is okay, so you have a chance to connect with a blockage or the limit or the something between you and success, for example. And behind an emotion, behind a blockage, behind a limitation, there is most of the time someone. This is coming from story. This is not coming from something. This is from someone. Perhaps it's very close to your life, an event in your particular event in your life. And perhaps it does belong to your family story.
Sure.
We don't know at which point. The good thing is you start to take a contact with what is between you and your success, for example.
And here's, guys, this is the coolest thing. I love, first of all, I'm visual, Sophie, so I love that idea of writing something, putting it almost like in the future, right? So you're putting a distance from you, and then there's a gap. So what's keeping me from reaching whatever that is, right? We said success, health, money, love, doesn't matter, whatever it is. And then just quiet your mind just for that moment so that divine intervention, right? That answer could come into you. So I think that's so important. All right, guys. So today we learned that our family tree and our family story truly has an impact on our personal and professional lives. And I think just our conversation today, and by being aware that we can activate maybe its positive legacy as well as shape our destiny. And I think that's really important. And I hope Sophie provided some insight on gaining insight into your career or what other aspects of your life maybe that you feel like might be lacking that you'd like to change. And by activating the best in your family tree and that legacy and that inner dialogue that we're wired or that we've learned, again, these whispers from the past almost, I think by just quieting your mind and doing some of the exercise Sophie talked about, right? When you're making a decision, why are you choosing one way or the other? And just pause before. I think we run through life that I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, that we do without thought. And really what Sophie's recommending is stop and think for a minute, take a breath before you keep moving forward. And I think just that one little piece of control and her visual by putting writing the word and putting it in front of you, where's the gap? Where's that coming from? You're asking the same questions to yourself. And Sophie, you and I know this, just from our years of experience on this topic, but we have the answers within us. We just have to learn how to tap into that. And the first step really is quieting that mind and really understanding where those messages are coming from. And take the good. Don't throw them all out. We're saying take the good, but really look at those things that might not be serving us anymore. So thank you so much, Sophie. We're well out of time, but I think this was such a wonderful, delightful, I feel inspired and happy right now. So thank you for that as well. Guys, if you'd like more information, please check out Sophie's website. It's sophieroumeas.com. Let me spell it. So it's Sophie, Sophie, and then her last name is ROUMEAS.com. I will post that on the show notes. If you have questions that you want to kind of connect with Sophie directly, please do that. Her email is sophie.roumeas@gmail.com. So again, Sophie.Roumeas, ROUMEAS@gmail.com. If you'd like more information from me, please check out my website. Guys, I have so much cool free stuff for you. My books are there. Bright Spot that Sophie talked about is there. I'd love for you to connect with me. Send me messages. Send me some love. Rate, review the show. I read those ratings and it makes me smile. I know I'm a dork, but I love you all for tapping into me. So again, go to Whitman Associates. That's WHITMANASSOC.com and check me out and learn some and get some free things and learn from me as well. Sophie, thank you for just a beautiful conversation today and for taking the time to join us on the show. I love you, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, Connie. It's an honor, a pleasure, and may you be blessed for all your projects and for your gift to your audience.
Yeah, same on your end too. And we'll stay in contact. And I think maybe we have to have you on the show again too, because I think this is an important conversation, and I think your energy and love that you bring to the messaging is just so critical. So thank you so much for being on, and I'm really honored to have you in my life. And you guys, my pleasure. And you guys, I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together that growing and challenging yourself to change and whatever that means to you. Hopefully it's even more possible than you ever thought. And hopefully my guests and I provide those little nuggets of information to help your journey and maybe make your journey just a bit easier. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. Thank you all. And I really do wish you an inspired week. Please try some of the recommendations that Sophie shared with us today. And I am so honored and excited to have you on this journey of change with me and my guests. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Until next time.